You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
We are back with our second Cabral HouseCall of the weekend. Hopefully you got to tune in yesterday where we answered many of our community's questions on all things wellness, weight loss, anti-aging. We talked about healthy pregnancy protocols, a lot of leaky gut. We talked about colitis. We talked about acne. So many different topics. I do hope you tuned in. Every single show is always different. And what I want to say is that as you begin to listen to more and more shows, hopefully you go back and listen to the previous podcasts as well, you're going to start to develop a knowledge base where you might even actually find yourself knowing the answer to these questions before I even answer it. That's a beautiful thing. That's exactly what I'm trying to get to, because I want you to be able to think critically for yourself. I want you to be able to think critically for your family, for your friends. I want you to be the go-to health person in your community. And because of all of this health knowledge that we have out there, I'm getting to see more and more people that are deciding to make a transitionary career into health, that they're becoming a health coach themselves, or they're becoming a personal trainer or a nutritionist. And I think this is tremendous, because what if all of us were health coaches? What if so many more people became health coaches? It'd be a great thing, because we would all then be looking for people to help with their health. And that is a good thing. That is not a bad thing. That is offering your service as a service to help another human being get out of a struggle that they're in. So again, in my opinion, personal training, fitness, health, natural medicine, all these things are just tremendous fields, because if you can help someone get healthy, you can help them transform their life. Because if you don't have your health, you have nothing else. Because if you don't have your health, you don't have your energy. And if you don't have your energy, well, you're not going to be in a good mood. You're not going to be able to play with your kids. You're going to have low libido. Your life is not going to be what you want it to be. That's the bottom line. Without your health, you don't have the life that you want. And if you don't have the life that you want, you lose passion, you lose purpose. I'm going to actually talk about this because I know that that's a question on today's show. So a little preface right there. But the thing is this, again, there's a reason why I call the Cabral concept, or I have the tagline, change your body, change your life. Because you can't change your life until you change your body. It really does matter. You need to change the vehicle that is moving you through life. Now, some of us are in circumstances where our body's been it's been damaged, it's been whatever in certain ways. Like, keep in mind, my gut and my nasal cavities have been really damaged. I took over 3,000 capsules of amoxicillin, 2 capsules of amoxicillin every day for 3 years straight. Okay? So you have to understand, I did real damage. I will most likely never get back the native bacteria that was in my gut. But I'm okay with that, because I'm living a healthy, happy, vibrant life. I feel great. I will probably never get back the native bacteria in my sinuses. It's okay. Everything is good, because what happens though is I've taken care of that. I've compensated in ways to then help my body deal with that. We are all going to have issues in life. That's okay. You're allowed to have issues. What you're not allowed to do is just not do anything about it. You always have to keep moving forward. You may not get the answer the first time around. It doesn't mean that you failed. You found out one more way that doesn't work. Write it down. Just don't repeat it. Move forward. That is how you get better. So now let's get into our first question of the day, because that was turning into a whole podcast on its own. So let's move on to the first question, which is from Amanda. Amanda's writing in, "Hey doc, thanks for your amazing information. You continue to help guide my clients to the highest form of health. I have a client with quite a number of food sensitivities. My question is, with removal of heavy metals, balancing the microbiome, and healing and sealing the gut wall, is it possible to restore my client's gut health to the point where he is no longer sensitive to so many foods? Thanks." So yes, exactly correct. That is exactly what you're going to do. When your intestines, which is essentially supposed to be the outside of your body, so think of it as like a 25-foot tube or so, or think of it as 28 feet total. from your mouth, down your esophagus, stomach, into the small intestine, into the large intestine, out of the body. Think of that as somewhere around 28 feet. And that's supposed to protect your body from all the stuff that's inside. But what happens is when there's leaky gut, this intestinal permeability, proteins and other foods, other antigens are allowed to spill out. And then the immune system turns on, and then you have immune-based reaction, you have inflammation, then it turns into autoimmune disease and all sorts of different things that we call disease. So what I want you to do is simply go back to episodes number 508 and 515 and listen to how I help people every day in my practice heal and seal their gut. So what does that mean? It means you wipe out the heavy metals, you wipe out the parasites, you wipe out the H. pylori, you wipe out the bacteria, then you wipe out the yeast. And then after that, after you've wiped it out, you're repopulating with a good bacteria. And then after that, you are sealing the gut wall. And you're sealing the gut wall. What we use is called the healthy gut support. So bottom line is this. You are doing the Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. If you need to, you'll first start with the parasite protocol. Then you'll do the Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. You can do the heavy metal detox simultaneously if you'd like. And then after you finish that 12-week protocol, you will finish up with anywhere from 30 to 90 days. I like 90 days, but again, there's always an expense. So I'm just trying to help people out. Of the gut rebuilding protocol, which is the healthy gut support plus the daily probiotic support. You do that, you will have yourself a brand new client with a brand new gut, and that takes about 16 weeks, maybe just a little bit more, and for the whole protocol. And then you can retest the food sensitivities after he's eliminated those for that time. And voila, as they say, you should have yourself a nice, healthy, happy client. So Amanda, hopefully that helps you. And if they want proof, again, because a lot of guys like proof, myself included, they can run a hair tissue mineral analysis for heavy metals. They can run a urine test if they wanted to, and they can run an organic acid test to look at their yeast overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth. And if they want, they can run a stool test for parasites, yes, or H. pylori. Okay, hopefully that helps. So up next is Jenn D. And Jenn is asking, hi, Stephen. First of all, just want to tell you how much I love your podcasts. They are my listening choice when I'm out walking. Hey, why not kill two birds with one stone? Jenn, I totally agree. That's my lunch break. A lot of people don't know this, but my lunch break is my time. Nobody else's time. I don't take phone calls. I don't do anything else. I don't whatever. It's my time. And I'm listening to a podcast. I'm reading a book. I'm watching a YouTube video. I'm doing anything that I want during my time during lunch. And that's my time. And I'm always walking. And so that's why that came up, because I always walk during lunch. Always, always, always at least 30 minutes. And literally in the snow, I still walk. The only time I don't walk is if it's raining sideways, because I hate getting my feet and pants and everything soaked. So hopefully that helps. All right. So Jenn's up next. Her actual question is, I get into my physical activity and mentally you get the wheels turning in my head, thoughts to ponder. I have a question for you in regards to podcast number 615, looking at high intensity interval training. At the tail end of your podcast, you summarize the differences in regards to longer intervals. Longer intervals equals shorter rest, and shorter intervals equals longer rest, which makes complete sense to me now after your explanation. You stated that the shorter intervals can be done at the end of the strength training session for 3 to 5 hard workouts. Does that mean 3 to 5 times through, or does that mean 3 to 5 minutes? Thanks for any info you could pass on, Jenn. Jenn, this is a perfect example of the right type of question to ask on the Ask Cabral. Like, this is a really good follow-up question. So again, you have to keep in mind, like, we're all always in our own mind. And when I say things like that, I just assume that everyone knows, everyone's in my head, everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. So this is a good follow-up, good question. I hope that everybody tuned in to episode 615. Again, for all of these questions, all of the show notes today, all of the labs, everything, just go to stephencabral.com/639. You'll get it all right there. That's the show notes page with all the links for all in the resources as well. So Jenn, you're correct. After a strength training workout, you can do, now optional, you can, if you want to do some intervals after the workout, and again, everyone should tune in for context by going to stephencabral.com/615, because I really broke down how to do interval training, because a lot of times, very well intentions, but it's done incorrectly, so people are not maximizing their results. So you do 3 to 5 intervals. That means each interval is going to be about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds or so of fast work, and then it's going to be about 2 to 3 times that in rest period. So let's just think of it like this. 20 second sprint, 40 seconds rest, and you do that 2 to 4 more times for a total of 3 to 5 intervals. And that will still take you about 3 to 5 minutes. So super quick. It leaves your metabolism elevated, which means you're going to be better utilizing glucose, which is going to mean you're going to burn more body fat. You're not going to store as much body fat. Works fantastic. We do it at our studio and body transformation studio in Boston with all sorts of people. And I mean, the results we get are phenomenal. So Anonymous is up next, and her or his question is, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. I really love listening to your podcast every morning on my way to work. I'm a female dietitian, 26 years old, and struggling with gas, bloating, and some constipation. I've never struggled with my weight, BMI around 18, or any health issues, and my hormone levels are always normal. I sleep very well, exercise often, and eat a variety of fruits, vegetables, lean protein, nuts, seeds, sweet potatoes, and oatmeal, and drink plenty of water. To my knowledge, I have no food allergies or intolerances and can't seem to figure out why some days I'm more bloated or constipated than others. I started taking a probiotic daily about a year ago, which helps a little but doesn't fix the issue. I tend to eat similar foods each day and can't find a pattern with my symptoms, and some days just wake up bloated or produce more gas than others. It's so frustrating, and I feel like I shouldn't have these problems at any age. I never had these issues until about 5 years ago. Any advice or help you can provide would be great. I've listened to your previous podcast about constipation and found them very interesting. Thanks so much." Okay, Anonymous, I'm happy to hear you're a dietitian, so you're definitely clued into all of the nutrition, which is great. Hopefully you're just not following the US's dietitian guidelines, but I'm sure that you're not if you're listening to the show. Like a glass of milk with every meal probably doesn't make sense, right? So to answer your question, always go back. What happened 5 years ago? You told me that something happened 5 years ago. What was it? Stressful event, food poisoning, travel overseas. What happened? What was it 5 years ago? What changed? What made the switch? Did you change birth control? You have to figure that out. You don't have to, but it would give you a little insight. Next, you're a dietitian. You want to learn more about your health, and by learning more about your health, you'll then be able to help more people. I really believe that you should run the organic acid test and or stool test. If you can run the stool test, great. There's just an expense to it. But if you can run the organic acid test, that's number one. And if you can run the stool test, great. That's number two. Then, if you're able to run one more lab, so these are in order of importance, I would run a food sensitivity test, because you can't figure out from immediately eating the food, but keep in mind, you can't figure out a pattern, which means there might be an IgG food sensitivity, which can occur 24 to 72 hours after eating food, which is why we recommend the IgG food sensitivity test, and we will link that up in our show notes so you can do it right at your home. I really believe that you should look into this for yourself, because you're clearly eating a good diet, but the problem is, your diet, even though it's made up of healthy foods, they are not healthy for you, because some of them are causing reactions. Now, it could be that they're not causing reactions from an immune-based response, but actually they're feeding yeast and gut-based bacteria. And so that's why the organic acid test will help with that. So that's my absolute recommendation right there, because remember, when you're already this dialed in with your nutrition, I can't say like eat more broccoli. Like that's just not going to make sense. Like at some point, we can't guess and we have to start testing. My highest recommendation, it will pay you back in dividends, because you will then be able to live a life without bloating, and then you'll be happy and things will be good. So that is what I recommend, okay? Megan is up next. She's asking, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. Let me begin by thanking you for being such an incredible resource for all of us who listen to you. I have the highest respect for you, and I'm so grateful for your generosity in sharing all of what you know. My question is in regards to my 10-year-old son. Let me give you a bit of a backstory. 2 years ago, he started suffering with terrible eye tics. It started with rapid blinking and some blinks and facial scrunching. We went to a biomedical doctor. He ran a Nutrival, and he found some yeast overgrowth and leaky gut. We cleaned up the yeast using biocidin and biofilm supplement, along with others that he needed: zinc, B-complex, vitamin D, alpha-lipoic acid, and restore the gut. We cleared up the tics quite quickly and really have been symptom-free for 2 years." I just want to stop for 1 second. Megan, that is incredible. That is exactly what you're supposed to do. And that's why I'm always saying to people, if you can find someone who's great, I'm telling you, there are not a lot of people like the doctor you saw. So I'm like really happy that you found someone like that, because that's exactly what you're supposed to do. We work with kids with autism, executive function disorder, tics, and all sorts of different things. And people think it's like, it can't be fixed. It can be fixed without a doubt. And we do the same type of thing. Biofilm disruptors, biocidin, like it's, I mean, so fantastic. I'm really, really happy to hear that you did that. So let's move on with Megan's question. He does flare up a little with illness. So when he gets sick, he has a little twitch, but nothing at all like it used to be. I guess he's considered a PANS child. We have completed the Nutrival twice since then, and one last June. The yeast had returned despite following his food sensitivity diet. We also had the sensitivity test out as well. We started the protocol again. Bit confused why the yeast came back. Okay, so again, the full question's available at stephencabral.com/639. I want to get to Megan's answer. Okay, first of all, again, you did such a phenomenal job. And you also now have the recipe. That's why it's so important. That's why I love working with people. and I help them get well. And I help them get well usually within a course of 12 weeks. So they start feeling dramatically better in 21 days because we do a really intense 21 days to just really get their body regulated. And then we allow cheat meals and all sorts of great stuff. But what I let them know is you're better now. But if at any time in your life you ever start to slide, symptoms come back, you have a recipe, you have a blueprint and a system that you can always go back to start to replicate those results. So happy to see that you have that. The problem is that yeast will always come back. It will always come back because it's opportunistic if it's given the opportunity, which means this, that your son, for whatever reason in that microbiome, it is not balanced. And until it's balanced, his immune system is not going to be balanced, and it's going to allow yeast to flourish. So we have to be careful with this, but for your son, I would look into maybe using the clean gut supports. The clean gut probiotic. After you're done with the biocide and the fluorofilm, or we use fluorofilm for a biofilm disruptor, you might be using something else. So the reason I say that is they contain some Saccharomyces boulardii. So Saccharomyces boulardii will help keep yeast at bay. But also, I would probably, I would really prefer him using a higher dosage of Lactobacillus acidophilus. L. acidophilus will help to acidify, and yes, you need to acidify, the small intestine to keep it at a neutral to slightly acidic pH that will not allow the yeast to actually flourish. Very, very important. It might not have to do this forever, but he has to do it for at least 90 days, at least 3 months. So, and you don't have to use the whole probiotic capsule. You might just use a half a capsule to start to get him going. Now, your doctor, very, very knowledgeable, and you're welcome to also speak with him about what I'm talking about right now. That's totally fine. The other thing I want to do is this. I want to look at potentially using digestive enzymes with your son. I want to look at potentially using bitters, or at least getting in something that maybe a little apple cider vinegar. I don't know if that will work. That might actually aggravate if he has histamine-based issues. Something that's going to just help him digest food a little better so that it's not fermenting in the stomach for too long. If he hasn't run a stool test yet, I just want to make sure that he doesn't have H. pylori or any bacterial overgrowth as well, and parasites, of course. And then I would also probably use a little bit of magnesium, maybe just a little natural calm, 1 teaspoon for 2 to 3 weeks before bed to help with the nervous system activity. I want your son to get into this deep parasympathetic healing so that he can start to calm that nervous system. And of course, you'll stop if there's any adverse effects occur. We don't want that. So there's a lot of things you can do, right? You could look into colloidal silver for helping to kill pathogens, viruses in the body. We can look into using some liposomal B12. We have a great B12 product that I would probably recommend for your son as well to help with the nervous system. Zinc, I'm a huge advocate of zinc with adults and a small amount of zinc with children as well. So these are all great things, and you can get them in liquid form. So I hope that helps. I know that it's hard being over a podcast, giving recommendations, but that's another place to get started. Really happy that you're getting some results already. Okay, let's do one more question today. And it's from Megan. Megan's writing in, hello, what's your recommendation for boosting glutathione levels? My levels came back on a NutrEval as very low in this area. We have tried using Pharmanac and NAC pills, which stands for N-acetylcysteine, but have yet to be successful in boosting these numbers. Thank you in advance. Okay, 2 reasons for that. When you are using glutathione precursors such as N-acetylcysteine, so we're basically talking about sulfur-based phase 2 detoxification liver pathways. For any of those who makes no sense to you, that's okay. It just means that, during the Dr. Cabral detox, this is exactly what we do. We try to ramp up glutathione. We try to ramp up your liver's natural ability to clean your blood. And your blood is cleaned by your liver every 6 minutes, literally 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So always remember, when I recommend a protocol, I'm doing it very humbly, meaning I'm giving your body the nutrients that it needs, the helping hand that it needs to do its job. It's the foreman. I'm simply like a laborer helping it out. I am not the one who created in all of its innate beauty how to heal the body. I can't do that. No doctor can do that. Please do not be confused by the arrogance we sometimes have in our medical systems of how doctors play like these magicians. Now, don't get me wrong. Doctors and surgeons and people can do miraculous work, but it is the body that heals itself. So when I say to you right now, the Dr. Cabral Detox can help you boost glutathione. The Dr. Cabral Detox can help you overcome a lot of issues and it can help to re-regulate with inflammation and blood sugar and hormones and all of that. I'm doing it from the process saying, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I'm giving your body the sulforaphane, which is going to help, and I'm giving you, yes, the selenium, the N-acetylcysteine, and I'm actually giving you reduced glutathione. I'm giving your body glutathione. So like, how do you raise glutathione levels? Well, we could use glutathione. We can use reduced glutathione or liposomal glutathione as well. So again, like very humbly, when I say these things, like I'm not doing it, it's your body doing it. I am trying to give your body what it's missing and then take out what it has too much of. Now, one other reason why you might be low in glutathione that you may not have thought about is that you could just have a very large demand for glutathione, meaning that your body is trying really hard to detoxify environmental chemicals, cosmetics, high levels of estrogen metabolites, anything. And when you put more glutathione in your body just uses it up. It's kind of like vitamin C. I test people who are taking 3 grams of vitamin C a day and they're still low. Like that should not be humanly possible, but it is. And that's because their body is using up that 3 grams right away. There's no loose stool. Their body's just soaking it up because they need it. So keep in mind, you just might have a very high call for it. So here's what I want to do. Oh, sorry, one more thing, is that along with toxicity, and this is why I'm recommending the 21-day Dr. Wall detox to you. But again, you could do the 7 to 14 if you're not able to do the 21 day. Okay, so when you have a toxin in your body, let's call it a certain pesticide. Okay, so your pesticide goes in the body. Your body's going to use up 1 glutathione molecule and 1 ATP molecule to remove that pesticide, that toxin. So think about that. The more toxicity you have in the body, the more glutathione you're wiping out. So sometimes like what came first, right? The chicken or the egg? And really what we're talking about here is like, are your glutathione levels like really not able to be elevated? Or is your body going through so much glutathione that every time you get more, you just keep using it up? So that's why I recommend like, let's give your liver a little bit of support. Let's do the detox. But then also going forward, you could use a liposomal glutathione. You could use a reduced glutathione if you'd like. Just, cut right to the chase. But, it's a big but, I also want to use whole food. I want to use something like the Daily Fruit and Vegetable Blend, which we can link up as well, which is 22 organic fruits and vegetables. That's going to help. It also contains superfoods, and that's in air quotes, like Craxel, chlorella, that's going to help with heavy metal detox, so that will help your liver. But I also want you to include cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, some of the cruciferous vegetables that are also high in sulforaphane, and that sulforaphane is going to help with liver detoxification and glutathione-based production. Hopefully that helped, Megan. That was kind of like a little tutorial on glutathione right there. I'm happy that you asked that question and happy I was able to provide you with maybe just a little bit of information to get you on the right track. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Cabral Concept. I appreciate, as always, each and every one of your listens. And if this episode could help in any way, please do share it with someone else. Take care. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to StephenCabral.com/rainbarrel.